Hello folks, and welcome back to Mod of the Month, where we showcase some of the best builds completed over the last month over in the BitTech forums. Up for grabs is a 16GB kit of Vengeance Pro RGB memory, a choice in white or black LL120 fans, or a Lighting Node Pro. As ever, if you want to get involved, all you need to do is post up a completed project log over on the BitTech forums. Enjoy the builds. First up, let's give a huge hand to last month's winner, Creatador Wolfenstein Youngblood by Abbasit. Ali stepped up to the task of crafting something very different to his usual builds, and it really paid off. The mod was a hit with the voters and scooped up the top position. Now let's go have a look at who's in the runnings for this month. Silver PG is one of those mods where on the surface it looks as if less has been done to it than is actually the case. In fact, the entire interior of the case was gutted so that it could be replaced by a new one that allows the motherboard to be placed at an angle and the GPU situated on the other side. The new panels are constructed from laser-cut aluminium sheet, which was bent into shape. The panels were then painted to match the case perfectly, leaving the result that looks as if it came straight from the factory. Further details were added in the form of 3D printed accent pieces and additional exterior paintwork and acrylic paneling. The whole theme aligned with ASRock's Phantom Gaming branding, so sports their red and gunmetal colours. Now, the Antec Talk is already a pretty out there case when stock, so Yuri wouldn't have had to do a whole lot to make the build stand out. Thankfully, he did ignore that and decided to add significantly to the chassis instead. New panels were made all around, hand cut from acrylic and then airbrushed. Gunmetal and red seems to be the hot colour scheme at the moment, with Yuri also choosing it for this mod too. Cooling is handled via a CPU and GPU custom loop with rigid tubing. Care was taken to route the tubes around the chassis in a clean way, making use of pass-through fittings to break up the runs and make the tubing a key aesthetic element. The rig is finished up with custom sleeve cabling to keep everything neat and tidy. Daniel Bolognese has developed somewhat of a signature look these last couple years, and Radioactive RTX fits right into it. The original 500D chassis has largely been replaced, with the front, back and insides all thrown out in preference for a set of new acrylic panels. The clear panels give the build a very spacious appearance, which is only accentuated further by the custom cable work that prevents mess and clutter. Not all the panels were removed though, as the top and power supply shroud were kept, stripped and finished with a hand ground look. This more industrial look really fits well with the other elements in the mod, especially the case feet that definitely have a certain chunk to them. The front sports a large custom distro plate filled to the brim with appropriately radioactive looking coolant. The loop itself is finished up with stylish chrome tubing, which only furthers the spotless aesthetic. Now here's something you don't see every day. Rather than opting to use an existing chassis or make one from scratch, Dante decided to work the components into a vintage 1960s oscilloscope. Owing to the unit's diminutive dimensions, however, multiple compartments were added so that the components could be housed separately, such as the power supply on the back in a high voltage container and the GPU on the base. Wiring is often a prominent aspect to mods, and in high voltage this is taken in an interesting direction. Rather than sleeving everything, heavy gauge green twisted wire was used, with the runs bunched together and run around the outside of the case to be in keeping with the electrical engineering theme. It's really effective and adds some exciting forms to the rig. The whole build has such an eccentric feel to it, it's definitely unique. Okay, let's face it, simple case is simply a lie. There's nothing simple about it. SPIC's goal here was to prototype a concept case that's very small, capable and pretty. As such, it's largely built around function, with the aim of being able to fit a high-spec system into a small footprint. One of the interesting parts about this build is that it's an iterative process in the project log. He builds upon the lessons learned in the first prototype to develop a second one. This makes the project quite compelling, as most mods are done in isolation rather than as a stepping stone. Now, utility is brought in constantly too, be it the need to fit thicker GPUs or the inbuilt carry handle so that the case can be easily transported. The frame itself is formed from 2mm aluminium that's been bent into shape and riveted, sporting hexagonal vents and openings for airflow. Now, if you've played Apex Legends, then you'll recognise this one straight away. AKMod worked hard to build a faithful replica of a death box from the game. Not only that, but he's crafted a version of Lifeline's healing drone as well, complete with a temperature readout in the head. The main bulk of the case itself is constructed from layered plywood, which was filled, primed and painted to match up with the in-game object. Additional details were 3D printed to add an authentic touch, such as the wingman pistol and even a take on the in-game currency to show the sponsor logos. Inside, the system is high-spec and certainly in keeping with being a legendary loot opportunity. The fit and finish on this one really is astounding, as I've seen this mod up close in person, and it really does impress as much or even more than in the pictures. So that's all for this month, folks. It's been quite a month, it seems, with some fantastic projects on the show. Now remember, if you'd like to be in a chance with being featured in a future mod of the month, and maybe winning some prizes as well, all you need to do is have a finished project log posted up on the BitTech forums. Now if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, as clearly modding is your thing and we've got some awesome stuff on the way that you definitely not want to miss. You can also find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Discord and Bills.gg. So take care folks, I'll see you next time.